Hey guys, Uncle Ray. Welcome to another episode of the Crypto Bellwether. On this channel we cut through the hype and the noise and we give you the non-biased information you can use to hopefully capitalize on the biggest opportunity in history, and that is this bull run. And if nothing else, it's exciting. So I'm going to dive into my thought process of what's going to happen tomorrow, maybe, if we get the announcement. I'm going to talk about if we get the announcement, if we don't get the announcement, and what I think the announcement is going to be. Now, I've done some research and went back to history and studied what happened when gold got the spot ETF. Now, the world was different back then. You didn't have the technology we have today where everyone can have their pulse on the market, and you didn't have the retail public front running gold like you do in Bitcoin today. So we're going to dive into that, and like I said guys, it's exciting no matter what. But either way, I hope everyone watching this has a game plan. You don't want to figure this stuff out on the fly. So go ahead and hit that like button. Let's dive into it. Now, if you can see this chart right here, roughly, and I'm guessing that that's about when the announcement came. Got a little spike down and it took off, right? Now, if you look at it, just like we've known or have thought we knew that the spot ETF was coming, so look at that build up. It's almost just like what's happened with Bitcoin. It kept running for many months, and it got the announcement right here. But look at this guys, it pretty much took off. And for gold back then, that was a huge move for the end of the year. But if you look at that decline, that was like really fast. Spiked again and kept going down at the very end of the year. The announcement came out in November, and before the end of the year, this thing was starting to dump hard. Now, let's go to 2005. Look at the start of the year, guys. Day one, huge dump. It kept dumping and kept dumping. So roughly, if I'm reading this right, I think we went from about 460, something like that, and in January it dumped down to maybe 415. It's not a huge dump, but then it started to consolidate and went on down more toward say 410, something like that. It consolidated and then it took off for 3 straight years, and it became, a big asset class that was bigger than before. Now, my thought process is that we're probably going to have a similar type effect. Now, the one thing I believe is that gold is nothing like Bitcoin as far as its volatility. Whatever happens with Bitcoin at this announcement is going to be 10x the extreme of gold. Now, my thought process is, first of all, I don't think it's going to get approved tomorrow. But I don't know. I have no idea. I just think that too many people are prepared and thinking it's going to happen tomorrow. I don't think so. And I've done a video, which I'll leave a link down below, and I talked about how, they've been hyping the ETF for like 10 years, and it's pumped the market every single time. Now, I 100% believe that we will get a spot ETF, period. Probably this year. Probably when we're not expecting it. Probably when everyone's given up. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I'm just going to tell you my thought process. If tomorrow we get a spot ETF announcement that it's going to happen, And whoever gets it, doesn't really matter, because we know once one gets it, they're all going to kind of, get in line and get theirs as well. Now, I believe if, let's just say tomorrow at noon, we get that announcement and the ETF is coming, I believe Bitcoin would just rip. And if it's pushing 45, 47,000, whatever it's pushing leading up to that, I think it might even rip maybe $7,000 more. So, break 50, 52, 54, maybe even 57. If that happens, I'm not sure if I'm going to sell everything. I'm going to kind of read the room, right? But I'm going to start peeling off profits as fast as I can. And I may end up selling everything. Now, I'm comfortable doing that. I'm great being in cash, pre-halving, and setting in stable coins. That's just me. Not telling anyone to dump. Now, that being said, I'm not dumping my bear market bags like H-bar and Quant. Not doing that. But my new bag is all new projects that haven't experienced a bull run. A lot of my best tokens are like stacks, and they're in the Bitcoin ecosystem. I have a lot of new projects, and if they start to pump hard, I'm probably just going to start taking all those profits. That's just my game plan. Now, I think after that hard pump, let's say it hits 57,000, I think it's coming back hard, because a lot of people are going to be using leverage. Now, this is one thing I want to share my thoughts on, so just hear me out, as I think it's hugely important. One thing that they didn't really have back then on gold was the leverage that you have in the institutions and even with retail. So you got to think, guys, anytime you see a sell the news event, you got to think the insiders are locked and loaded with leverage. They got the phone call. Blackrock got the phone call. The who's who, the insiders, they know, let's just say it is noon tomorrow. They got the phone call probably 2 weeks ago. Hey, we're going to announce the spot ETF is a go at noon on the 10th. Well, they locked in leverage, maybe even 100x leverage on $10 million, $50 million, right? So, they're not talking about turning 10 into 30. They're talking about turning millions maybe into billions. And then they can start over. And where does that money come from? The liquidity comes from the retail investor. Now, if that scenario plays out, I'm going to buy the dip as hard as I can possibly buy as soon as I see a bottom. Once it hits any type of bottom, I'm going to start dollar cost averaging in, because in my opinion, it is go time, and the people that wanted to buy a Bitcoin and haven't done that are not going to do it in that pullback. If we get it, they'll never be able to buy a Bitcoin, because I believe after this bull run, the cyclical part of Bitcoin will be over as we know it. Now, I think it will start to trade more like stocks or gold, right? So let's just say in this bull run, Bitcoin runs to 150, even 250, and who knows how far it could run. It's not going to pull back to $25,000 in the bear market when it's all over, in my opinion. If it runs to 250 or even 150, yes, it will pull back, but maybe to 90 or 100 or something like that. And I wouldn't be surprised, guys. I used to work for Bear Stearns. I think it's going to be one of the easiest sales you've ever seen. And I think there's a lot of pent-up demand for the big players in the world. I got a lot of friends that have, a ton of money. They have financial advisors. I got one friend that has a lot of money at JP Morgan, and she wants to buy Bitcoin, but it's too hard. They even told her they would help walk her through it, but they couldn't do it. But guys, when this is announced, You're going to have stockbrokers from around the world, hedge funds managers, everyone's going to dive in, and it's going to be the easiest sell you've ever heard. Half the millionaires are going to be buying it just out of ego. So the point I'm making is, when this thing pumps, I think there's going to be a pullback, but after that, game over, whole new ball game, whole new world. Now, if we're lucky, the altcoins won't follow Bitcoin up. That's kind of what I'm thinking also. Just hear me out, because this is not a negative. This is just a thought process that I think everyone should work themselves through. The big money, not retail, the big money, they know Bitcoin's going to move. So they start pumping billions into Bitcoin and take those profits. And Bitcoin dominance is probably going to go through the roof. Well, a lot of people are going to not get into altcoins. They're going to keep pumping Bitcoin. Then, whenever then is, what we're going to look for is when Bitcoin dominance tanks. Those altcoins are going to be on fire. So all that money that has pumped Bitcoin to wherever it ends up, it's going to flow into the altcoins. But I'm not positive, I'm not so sure that if we get a pullback that people don't load the boat at the bottom for more Bitcoin instead of altcoins, and a lot of altcoins might get hit. I don't know, but that's kind of my thought process. Now, let's say tomorrow that it gets delayed, because I don't think they can really flat out reject it. They can delay it. So I think that's probably going to happen tomorrow. I just think too many people are expecting it. Or we could do it at 3 o'clock in the morning, or 3 o'clock tomorrow morning, the next evening or next morning. I think they're going to catch us off guard. Too many people are paying attention. Too many people are ready. I think it could get delayed, or ARC could get delayed, and then in 3 days when everyone's thrown off guard, or 3 weeks, or whenever, boom, it happens. Maybe Sunday night at 2 a.m. or something like that. But I really don't think that it's just going to happen in the middle of the day tomorrow. And I really think that they're going to play games with us. I don't think it's going to get approved tomorrow. But hey, the good thing about these videos is we'll find out tomorrow if this video has merit or not. And I'm fine putting it out there. But there's pretty much only two things, right? Either it gets approved or it gets postponed. Now, if it gets postponed, there's a good chance that Bitcoin drops 10, 15, 20%. There's a chance it could go back and get back down to, say, 30, 32,000. I hope that happens personally. I want these markets to keep going down hard between now and the halving, because the longer crypto stays down, the more we can stack. Because I'm patient, guys. I have no doubt that Bitcoin's going to rip and this bull run is going to blow our minds. So I would rather see everything go back down to better lows so we can stack. And we know in 3, 4, 5, 6 months that it is going to explode. So it makes it harder to trade if it's kind of going up right now like it's been doing. I mean, we're getting some pretty good gains and it's been fun, but at these levels you're kind of scared to stack or go all in. And scared's not the word, but it doesn't make sense to me to go all in this far pre-halving, because I believe no matter what, you're going to have a major pullback between now and probably a month or two after the halving. And I could be wrong. I think 2024 is going to catch all of us, or not all of us, but most of us, off guard. Because what I see, and from my experience of working at Bear Stearns, this is the first time in history that retail people, average people, have front run Wall Street and governments. And that's what we've done with this technology, especially the people that's been trading for like 10 years. Well, you know, the big boys like JP Morgan and all those, they want to take control. And trust me when I tell you, they are taking control, whether it's cross-border payments, DeFi, hell, even the metaverse. In 10 years, it won't be that decentralized utopia. Corporate America will be 75 to 80% dominant throughout everything in crypto. Good news is there's a lot of money to be made. Bad news is we're not going to have that DeFi or decentralized utopia, in my opinion. But guys, these are exciting times, and the whole point of this video is just to tell you, get a game plan, whatever that game plan is. If it dumps tomorrow, if we get rejected or postponed, do you have a list of tokens that you want to start stacking? Right? If it pumps, think about it, guys. Bitcoin could easily pump $7,000 to $10,000 in a day, or 3 days, or in a week, whatever. And that's an immense amount of profits in some of the coins, especially like stacks that are in the ecosystem. Well, nothing goes straight up. People are always going to take profits. What's your game plan? Anyway, I do one-on-one coaching if you need a game plan for your portfolio. It's $250. I think it's a great value. It's 3 phone calls or Zoom calls. We go through your portfolio. We look at what projects you have. We talk about your risk tolerance, teach you how to compare projects when you want to get new ones. And the most important thing is we talk about dollar cost averaging out and how to take profits, when to take profits. And I think that is the most important thing, because one thing I've learned in coaching, and the majority of people that come to me have been through 1, 2, or even 3 bull runs, and they don't have much to show for it because the FOMO, got a hold of them, and they just miss the boat. They've taken a small amount of money, turned it into a large amount of money, and they didn't take their profits. Remember, guys, if you don't take your profits, you'll become the profits. Anyway, I hope it gets approved tomorrow. That'd be great. But then there's a part of me that says, hey, if it doesn't, it's even better for us because we know it's going to happen. And the longer it gets delayed, it's just going to make that one big pump even more. We've got an election year, which historically has been negative, and I didn't know that. I really didn't. I went back and studied like the last 4 recessions. 4 out of 5 recessions that we had were in a election year. I didn't know that. So this year may not be as good as we thought, but no matter what, we're going to get some regulation. We're going to get someone else in the White House, and we're going to get that spot ETF, and this economy is going to turn around because they are going to print money and they are going to drop interest rates. And when that comes together, here's what I think. The cyclical nature, yeah, it may stick around for the high inflation type tokens, but we could see crypto go on a 15-year run like real estate did. I'm big into real estate. I was flipping properties in 2004, and pre-2004, real estate had a major, on average for like 200 years, every 7 years you had a major correction. We haven't had a major correction since 2008, and because they cut on that printing press. Well, they haven't stopped. Realistically, they paused, but they're going to cut that printing press on again, and the number one asset ever created is Bitcoin, so we could just see it literally go on a 15-year rip. How much fun would that be? Alright guys, that's all I got. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Do you think it's going to get approved? You think it's going to get rejected, postponed? What are you thinking? And do you have a game plan? Either way, guys, come back and be part of this community. Take care.